Daniel Jeremiah has just unveiled his third mock draft. Now, these mock drafts are always quite big because they're based on what DJ is hearing around the league. So I'm not going to criticize Daniel Jeremiah here. This is simply what he's hearing, but I will be going through this mock draft, reacting to each pick live because I have not seen these picks, and I'm going to be comparing it to my big board, my top 50 big board, which if you haven't seen that video already, go and check that out. And if you haven't already, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for more draft content. But it's basically a great way to see how the NFL is potentially seeing these players as opposed to how I am or other people in the media. So let's get right into it. The first pick that Daniel Jeremiah has predicted here is Cam Ward to the Titans. I completely agree here. Let's read what Daniel Jeremiah says. He says, as we inch closer to the draft, it's beginning to look more and more likely that Ward will be the first overall pick, whether it's the Titans or one of the quarterback-needy teams that sit close behind them in the order. If one were to trade up to number one in this case, Tennessee stays put and gets a fresh start at the position. I think Cam Ward at this point is a lock to go first overall, and really I think the Titans are going to stay there. I think all their signings along the offensive line, their non-signings at the quarterback position in free agency strongly suggest they're going to go for a quarterback because it's Will Levis and nobody else, and they're not going to roll into the season with that setup. There's absolutely no way. You can bet your money that the Giants are going to be blowing up the Titans phone trying to trade up, because after the free agency quarterback musical chairs, the only two teams without a quarterback are the Titans and the Giants. One has the first overall pick, one doesn't. So I think the Titans are going to stay put, but I do agree that Cam Ward will go one. DJ then has the Browns taking Abdul Carter at 2. He says the Browns should be weighing taking Carter second and a quarterback in round 2 versus picking Shadur Sanders at number 2. I totally agree. Shadur Sanders, for me, not a first-round talent whatsoever. We'll see if he goes later in this mock. Waiting on an edge rusher until the second round. I think you can make a strong argument that taking Carter and waiting for a second-tier quarterback in round 2 is the better option. At the moment, me and Daniel Jeremiah are in complete agreement here. I totally agree. The Browns should absolutely not reach on Shadur Sanders. I think he would put a team like the Browns with a bad offensive line. Firstly, I think he'd struggle with that bad offensive line. Secondly, I think he'd put that team in quarterback purgatory. I don't think Shadur Sanders is a bad quarterback prospect, but I don't think he's a good enough one whereby he can elevate a team like the Browns. I don't see him being a type of quarterback that can raise the talent around him. I think he's kind of like a tofu quarterback in the sense that if you surround him with great talent, he could be good. But I don't think you want to spend a second overall pick on a quarterback of that caliber personally. So I think so far, me and Daniel Jeremiah are in absolute lockstep. I'm going to go through the first few picks quite quickly because I think these are relatively chalky at these points, but I'll give more time to the more controversial ones, which I'm sure are coming. And as if by magic, Shadur Sanders at 3 to the Giants. Daniel Jeremiah says, I'll be curious to see what the Giants do here. If Abdul Carter is available at number 3, that might change things. But in this scenario, they secure their answer at quarterback. And I think this will happen, to be fair. I'm not criticizing Daniel Jeremiah here. This isn't what he would do. I'm going to criticize the Giants, though. I think this would be an awful, awful pick from the Giants. But this is kind of the problem that they're in, is that Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen have been assured, in not so many words, they're going to get fired if they don't win more games. And their only ticket to even thinking about winning more games is having a better quarterback. And they obviously don't have Daniel Jones anymore. They re-signed Tommy DeVito. I mean, I know Giants fans, he's a folk hero at this point for them. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not even really a backup, to be perfectly honest with you. The Giants are really left with very few options here. If they can't trade up with the Titans, they're going to have to take Shadur Sanders here. I mean, they could risk him falling, but I don't think he'll fall outside the first round when it's all said and done. There's just too many quarterback-needy teams. You risk the Jets taking him, and there's, you never know who's going to trade up in the back end of the first, maybe jump you. At this point, it kind of seems like what the Giants are left with. If I'm being completely honest with you, destiny seems to be linking the Giants and Sanders together. I think it would be an absolute disaster, though. I want to stress that. I've already said Sanders is not the level of prospect whereby I think it's worth drafting with the third overall pick. And I think the Giants have just been in quarterback purgatory with Daniel Jones. I think Shadur Sanders is going to give them the exact same results, basically. A fine quarterback who's not really going to put the team on his back and win games for you. And if you're not getting that guy, why are you drafting him with a first-round pick, is the way I see it. Now the Patriots are drafting Travis Hunter. For the record, if I'm the Giants there at 3, though, I think, what would I do instead? I think I would take Travis Hunter. It would help their cornerback position next to Deonte Banks. And it would help the wide receiver position next to Malik Neighbors and now Darius Slayton. I think it would work really well. But they are screwed at quarterback. Now the Patriots, Travis Hunter. DJ says bolstering the offensive line would seem like the obvious move here for the Patriots, but it would be tough to pass up on such a unique talent like Hunter. He would immediately be their most potent weapon for Drake May. And I completely agree, right? The Patriots do need another weapon for Drake May. We've got Jalen Polk, we've got Javon Baker. Both of them were drafted last year. Javon Baker had like 12 catches on the season. I really liked him last year. He was one of like these hidden gems for me, a bit of a my guy. And Jalen Polk was overdrafted, but not a bad player. And they've got Demario Douglas in the slot. I mean, it's pretty lackluster, right? The receiver core in New England. And Travis Hunter would be the number one option. To me, as a wide receiver, Hunter is a Garrett Wilson-esque kind of player. And as a cornerback, he is, well, just absolutely elite. And him next to Gonzalez, the other cornerback, who was playing fantastically last season, I think before he got injured, would be an amazing pairing. I do, though, think that not getting an out-and-out wide receiver would be a mistake, and I think not drafting an offensive lineman would also be a mistake. I know Travis Hunter's such a great talent, but I kind of feel like he doesn't really tick enough of the wide receiver box in the sense that I would use him full-time at cornerback and have him play some wide receiver, because that way makes sense. You can't, though, in the NFL, play some cornerback, right? The two positions don't work like that. So for me, the way I see it, you'd have to have Hunter as a full-time cornerback and a part-time wide receiver, which kind of means you're not really getting the most out of him for Drake May, I fear. Obviously, this is a great pick. You take the talent when the talent falls to you. It is hard, though. I agree with DJ for the Patriots to pass on either Teto McMillan or an offensive lineman for me here, but that's just me. Oh, there it is. Okay, here's the first one. So the Jags at 5 are taking Jalen Walker. DJ says Jalen Walker would form a dynamic trio with Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, with the latter kicking inside on passing downs, giving all three players the chance to rush the passer at the same time. Jalen Walker could play off-ball linebacker on early downs and then rush off the edge when it's time to hunt the quarterback. I am absolutely not a Jalen Walker guy whatsoever. For me, he's my 34th ranked player on my big board, a firm second round player. I think he, obviously here, DJ's projecting him as an edge, but he hasn't played edge full time. I mean, there's quite a few projections at edge rusher in this class. You've got a Michael Williams, you've got a Shamar Stewart, guys that have the traits but not the production. Walker's even less production than those guys, I think. Less kind of on-field performance than those guys. I mean, he's obviously super versatile. DJ mentions that he can play off ball linebacker, he can play off the edge. To me, though, he's a one-year starter with limited playing time. I think you're banking on traits, not production at all whatsoever here. Versatility, I think, is actually less of a strength than we'll think it is in the NFL. How many of these hybrid players have we seen, right? We've got Isaiah Simmons, we've got Jabril Peppers. I feel like defensive coordinators in the league really don't know how to use these guys. And the killer blow for me with Jalen Walker is that I don't think he's good enough to be a full-time edge rusher, frankly. I think he's got no pass rush plan. He lacks any pass rush moves. He's not great at coverage either. The way I see Walker is he's a jack of all trades, master of none. Him going at 5 is crazy to me, and I actually don't think this will happen. I'm willing to say this now. I know they don't have Trent Baalke anymore. If Trent Baalke was still the GM, I could absolutely believe this. But I do think the new GM who is about 20 years old, is going to focus on the trenches. I think Mason Graham would be the pick here. But Jalen Walker would be absolutely revolting. It would be a terrible, terrible pick if that was the pick on draft day. A classic here. The Las Vegas Raiders are taking Ashton Jeanty. And what more is to say about this pick, really? I think it's 6, a running back at 6, right? Objectively, that's high for what we know of the running back position now. But I do think that because of the Saquon Barkley trade and the results that gave the Eagles, I think if you are in a position whereby you're looking for the cherry on top of your offense, if it were, and then you can take a running back with either a lot of money or a high draft pick. And it kind of makes sense to the Raiders. They now have their quarterback, right? Fantastic move getting Geno Smith for a 3rd. They have Brock Bowers. They have Jacoby Myers who had 1,000 yards last season. Yeah, the rest of that wide receiver core is absolutely revolting, but you can get wide receivers later in this draft, especially at the top of the 2nd, which is where the Raiders are picking. So if you come out of the draft with Ashton Jeanty, maybe like a Jaden Higgins or a Trey Harris, or I don't know, maybe another one will fall, maybe an Emeka Egbuka will fall, who knows? Then you've killed those first 2 rounds, frankly. And they've got a good offensive line for Jeanty to run behind. You could upgrade right tackle potentially, but overall it's a solid unit. It's a great pick. And suddenly the Raiders offense is looking pretty decent, I might say. Now the Jets. Love this pick. Amar Membu. DJ says Membu slides in at right tackle for the Jets. His size, physicality, and athleticism would make him a great fit. I think the Jets need to prioritize the trenches in this draft. I think either defensively or offensively. I think if they got a Mason Graham next to Quinnen Williams, that would be absolutely amazing. But also, what's great for the Jets? What the Jets can do here is they aren't going through maybe not a full rebuild because they have talent, right? They've got Sauce, they've got Quinnen Williams, they've got Garrett Wilson. But they're going through a reset and they don't have a quarterback. Yes, they've signed Justin Fields to a 2-year deal. Realistically, he's going to be their bridge quarterback, right? What drafting Amar Membu does, a rookie offensive tackles take a while to develop to the league, a while to kind of get used to the speed of the league and the physicality. You draft Membu now, it means that next year, if you draft a quarterback or the year after, you've got Olu Fashanu on one side, Amar Membu on the other. You've got Elijah Vera Tucker in there. You've got Joe Tippmann in there. You've got a really nice, young offensive line in front of a young quarterback. And that's how you can really start to build and add some other talent. You've obviously still got Garrett Wilson there. I think offensive line, I know it's boring for fans to go back-to-back. Love it. Now the Panthers, Mason Graham. Again, love this pick. Mason Graham for me is a top 5 player in this class. The Panthers need defensive line help. I don't need to go into this pick. I think Mason Graham is blue chip in this class. I think it fills that Milton Williams need, which is what DJ talks about. And the Panthers need juice. Mason Graham is going to give you that juice. And I'm just glad it's not Jalen Walker. 9, the Saints are taking Jihad Campbell. Now, I really like Jihad Campbell. He is my LB1 ahead of Jalen Walker. But the reason why I wouldn't love this move for the Saints isn't because I don't love Jihad Campbell. And isn't really because it's a linebacker at 9. I think the Saints just need to add good players. And I think Campbell is a very good player. The issue for me is that it's, considering the cap hell the Saints are in and considering where they're at as a team, I would take like a wide receiver or a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. I would go for those big, hard-hitting cornerback, even like a Will Johnson here, or like a Will Campbell still on the board. I think that linebacker is a bit of a miss considering where this team is in terms of its rebuild. I would go for the more valuable positions personally. But look, Campbell's a good player. Can't hate it. Now the Bears. Interesting. DJ has the Bears going with Will Campbell. Now, he says the overhaul of the offensive line is now complete with a new left tackle in place. Chicago's trio of March O-line acquisitions will be sandwiched between 2 top 10 picks in Campbell and right tackle Darnell Wright. And why I really like this pick for the Bears is because Campbell gives you positional flexibility. If one of those 3, Tooney, Jackson, and who's the third? I can check it out in a second. If one of those 3 offensive linemen, for whatever reason, doesn't work out, right? Some of them aren't spring chickens anymore. Then you can move Campbell inside. Drew Dalman is the other one. And fundamentally, offensive line is fundamental to Ben Johnson's offense. And if you add Will Campbell, who can play anywhere, if there's an injury, he can kick inside. It just makes so much sense. I do like their tackles. I don't think they necessarily need to upgrade. But why not make strength stronger? Why not just keep building through the offensive line? You protect Caleb Williams. You've got DJ Moore. You've got Roma Dunze. You can get a running back in the second. I like this pick. The 49ers going with Jahdae Barron. This is early for Barron for me. I, again, would have gone offensive line here. Maybe a Kelvin Banks. Maybe an edge rusher. But fundamentally, the 49ers lost like a third of their roster, right? Javon Hargrave, Dre Greenlaw, Tanalo Hufanga, Travarius Ward. And I get that Jahdae Barron can wear a lot of hats defensively, right? He's played nickel, he's played safety, he's played corner. And that is really valuable for a defense when you have that positional flexibility. And his experience, he's really great in zone coverage. You've got Robert Saleh back there as the defensive coordinator. It would be a great fit. Again, I feel like I would go for the trenches. I feel like that's where the strength of this class is. So I'm quite surprised that DJ's having quite a few kind of rogue guys, at least by my board, going early. But I know people are very high on Barron. But I think Barron being the first cornerback off the board, well, Travis Hunter. But I would have had Will Campbell. I would have taken Siobhan Ravel. But this is the thing, I don't have Will Campbell, Will Johnson. I don't have Siobhan Ravel that highly, but I have Barron behind Ravel. But I can see the vision here. I can see the vision. He says he'll be able to match up against some of the talented slot receivers in the division. True, drafting a slot corner with 11, though, I don't know, man. That seems rich to me. Dallas Cowboys, no. Going Matthew Golden. Guys, I'm not Matthew Golden pilled. Right, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I do not see Golden as this wide receiver one, better than Ted McMillan. Oh my God. Where's Ted McMillan going to go? Okay, park that. I don't see him being this wide receiver one. I don't see him being this Stephon Diggs remake. I think that, yeah, he's got good speed. Yes, he's a good deep threat. Yes, he's got good route running. But I did not see that 4.29 speed on tape whatsoever. I think he's an adequate athlete. And don't get me wrong, I know he tested very well. But testing, running in a straight line with no pads on, not in a game scenario, is not the same as when you do have pads on in a game scenario. And for me, I saw Golden struggle with physicality. I think his hands are quite inconsistent. He had quite a few drops, actually. And I just did not see that speed on tape. And I know he's the new exciting thing. I don't see it with Matthew Golden. I think he's a good player. For me, he's a second-round pick, though, if I'm being brutally honest with you. And I know that's not going to be a hot opinion. I'm just being honest. Now, the Dolphins are going Malachi Starks here, which is interesting. I'll talk about that in a second. The further we get into the evaluation process, the more teams I find that are in love with Starks' game. He'll be a plug-and-play replacement for Javon Holland with the versatility to play as a high safety or a nickelback. I love Malachi Starks. Absolutely love Malachi Starks. I think at the Combine, if you look at the next-gen stats, advanced data stuff, when they're all chipped and their speed on the field, Malachi Starks is one of the fastest safeties on the field at the Combine. I know he didn't run that fast. I know Emanwari ran off with the kind of Combine love, but Starks had a damn good Combine, like a really good Combine. And the way he plays the game, he's got one. I think he and Travis Hunter have the highest football IQs in this class. He just understands exactly where everyone is. He does have that ability to man up with receivers in the slot better, I think, than Jahdae Barron does. I mean, Starks manned up against Luther Burden last year in the slot, and he's one of the best kind of shifty slot receivers in this class. So that's no easy trait. The reason why I'm kind of pushing back on this a little bit is because they signed Ashton Davis and Ifeatu Melifonwu in free agency. So I don't see them kind of tripling up there. I think, has Amar Membu gone? I need to cross these players off as I'm going down. Yeah, Amar Membu's gone. But I would have taken a Kelvin Banks there. I think they need to protect Tua. I think they need to run the ball better. And I think that safety, a bit like linebacker, a bit like running back, is a bit more of a finishing product kind of pick, of a luxury pick, if you will. And I don't think the Dolphins picking at 13 with a quarterback that has an injury history which is severe is the right pick, personally. Colts at 14, Tyler Warren. We've seen this a million times. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it. Another weapon for Anthony Richardson. They have a lot of tight ends, but none of them are, the guy. Definitely replaceable. And Tyler Warren's fantastic. He can play in line as a traditional tight end, in the slot as a power slot, out wide as a wide receiver, in the backfield as a running back, even a quarterback, right? Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Maybe Tyler Warren is the true quarterback. It's just a great pick, right? You've got A.D. Mitchell, you've got Michael Pittman, you've got Josh Downs, you've got Jonathan Taylor. Add Tyler Warren. If Anthony Richardson does not produce this year, you can cut him loose. You know it's not going to be the guy with all those weapons. Okay, Falcons at 15. Will Johnson. Daniel Jeremiah does not like this edge class. He doesn't think the NFL likes this edge class. I would have said the Falcons need an edge more than they need a cornerback. But Will Johnson, he says, while some inconsistencies popped up in Johnson's 2024 tape, hard to find a big, rangy corner with his ball skills. I love Will Johnson. I think it would be a great pick if he fell this far. He's a fantastic corner in that kind of Patrick Surtain-esque kind of physical mold. And we've seen how well he played this year. Not saying that Will Johnson will be Patrick Surtain, but when you're looking for a cornerback, you're looking for someone that looks like Will Johnson, right? Again, though, edge rusher. You've got Shamar Stewart on the board. You've got James Pierce Jr. on the board. You've got Mike Green on the board. The Falcons got rid of Grady Jarrett. I know he's not a young lad anymore, right? He still had 30-plus pressures last year. And the Falcons haven't had a good edge rusher, since Vic Beasley in 2015, whenever the hell that was? They seriously need to get edge rushing juice. And again, if this was the pick on draft day, I'd be looking at who's left on the board and be thinking, well, I think the Falcons kind of missed the trick. I think you can get a decent corner actually on day 2 in this class. Oh no, the Cardinals go Gray Zabel. I really wanted my Texans to draft him, so we'll see who DJ has for that. Did I shout out my LSU? Anyway, for Joe Burrow, for Jamar Chase, for T. Higgins, the LSU guys get in the bag. Am I an LSU fan? No, I'm actually a Georgia Tech fan. Don't know why I blanked on that. But I did go to an LSU game 2 years ago. Saw Malik Neighbors, saw T. Higgins, saw Malik Neighbors, saw Brian Thomas Jr., saw Jaden Daniels. It was sick. Love to go again. But anyway, Gray Zabel. There'll be a few teams targeting Zabel. This is what DJ says in the draft. He has a great process from his final college season to the Reese's Senior Bowl to the NFL Scouting Combine. I completely agree. I love Gray Zabel. I really want him at the Texans. I think he's going to be a fantastic interior offensive lineman. Can play guard, center. Could even kick out to tackle if he needs to in that kind of Joe Tooney mold. He's going to be an interior guy though in the league, and the way that the Cardinals approach free agency, right, adding loads of talent to their defensive line. They hope they're going to get Ojulari back healthy. They hope they're going to get DeMarcus Robinson back healthy. They don't need to add to that defensive line necessarily. I think adding to the offensive line is the better shout, and Zabel's just going to be one. I think he's for me the best pure interior offensive lineman in this class. Great pick. The Bengals, finally an edge rusher. DJ says Green would be an outstanding compliment to Trey Hendrickson if the Bengals are able to work things out with their star defensive end. And that's exactly it, right? We don't know what's happening with Trey Hendrickson at the time of recording this, which is the 19th of March. They have just paid T. Higgins. Shout out. And we don't really know what they're going to do with Trey Hendrickson after having paid Higgins and Chase, and obviously they paid Burrow a few seasons ago as well. I mean, they are like 44% of their cap is now spent on 3 players over 2 positions. Crazy way to build a team. If they can work something out with Trey Hendrickson, then great. He led the league last year in pressures and sacks. And Mike Green would be a fantastic compliment to Trey Hendrickson. I think it's a great pick. Just depends if Trey Hendrickson is there. But it would still be a great pick even if he isn't. The Seahawks at 18, passing on interior offensive line and going with Colston Loveland. DJ says the Seahawks might have bigger needs, but the value is just too great to pass up Loveland at number 18. The former Michigan tight end joins Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp to give Sam Darnold an intriguing group of pass catchers. Very intriguing because they all play from the slot. They all play inside. I have no idea who's going to line up outside in this offense. I would have gone maybe for an outside wide receiver here. I love Jaden Higgins. I know that's early. I know it wouldn't be on this draft as a prediction because I don't think it'd go that early either. But that's a third slot receiver. They're building this offense like the Bills built theirs. You need guys on the outside. You need guys on the perimeter. And they have Sam Darnold who does not deal well with interior pressure. And the Seahawks had the worst interior offensive line in the league last year. That would be a mind-boggling pick to me if that were to happen. Very intriguing because none of them can play bloody outside. The Bucs at 19, Donovan Ezeraku. Love this pick. I love Donovan Ezeraku. I think he's a great, nuanced, understands the position pass rusher. He's got a great move of pass. He's got a great bag of pass rush moves. Really great to add to a team that needs another edge rusher. They lost Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to the Browns. Lost might be a bit of an exaggeration for how, but the Buccaneers see Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, but they need that kind of alpha. And while I don't think Ezeraku would be that kind of like Myles Garrett type of alpha, he is a technician who can win and will be very reliable for you. The way he wins, I can see projecting very well to the league. I like the Ezeraku pick here. The Broncos at 20, Amarian Hampton. DJ says head coach Sean Payton loves running his offense through to the tight ends, running backs and slot receivers. The Broncos land their tight end via free agency in Evan Ingram. Now they get back some big time juice. The Evan Ingram signing for the Broncos was massive because it has freed them up. How many times have we seen Broncos draft go Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren? The Evan Ingram pick means they won't. That's not what they're going to do, but it means they can go elsewhere. Personally, I would have gone for Luther Burden here. It's what I've done literally every single mock draft. I'm sorry, Broncos fans. It's boring for me, but it just makes sense. You've got Cortland Sutton. You kind of need that compliment. I know you've got Marvin Mims, but he's not really that kind of 3-down slot receiver that you want to use. I personally loved him coming out of the draft, but he's not really kind of taken that step. Amarian Hampton, though, is a fantastic player. He's a bruiser. They lost Javonte Williams to the Cowboys, so they do need their kind of star running back. I know they've kind of had like a trio of backs the last few years, but Hampton would be that bell cow. And I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I think the Broncos have rebuilt this offense so quickly under Sean Payton with, getting bone from, look at where they were with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. Like, I thought this roster was going to take, half a decade to rebuild, and the Broncos went to the playoffs last year. So maybe they are in a position to add Amarian Hampton at 20, who is a great player. I can't hate this pick. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. The Steelers taking Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss at 21. Oh, my God. DJ says the Steelers' plan at quarterback is not completely clear at the moment. Yeah, you could say that again. Even if they were to land the 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, already Steelers players, who was it? One of them was on a podcast being like, you either know you want us to be a Steeler or you don't. Like, his craziness is already annoying some Steelers players, and he's not even there yet. They would still need a long-term option at the position, so they take another swing here with Dart. They took Kenny Pickett at 19, and I just don't see them making the same mistake twice and taking Jackson Dart at 21. I just do not see it. Jackson Dart is someone that has all the tools, is a ball of clay. He's young, played for 3 years, got better every single year. He is nowhere near the final product at all. He took like 30 snaps under center. The Ole Miss offense is not pro-style, is full of a lot of half-field reads, predetermined reads, and he kind of plays a lot like Sam Howell in the sense that it's one read. If that read's not there, he's going to take off with his legs. And look, Howell, did some nice things at points, but he wasn't taken 21 overall. This would be a horrific pick. And I honestly, and I know DJ's, the insider here, I cannot see the Steelers making the same mistake twice. I know their commitment to being mid is off the charts, but I think they don't want to make a pick like that. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Oh, finally. Oh, my God. Okay. Tether McMillan to the Chargers at 22. DJ says, I won't be shocked if McMillan goes in the top 8 picks or if he slides into this section of round 1. There's a wide range of potential landing spots for the former Arizona star, but the team that drafted him will be getting a receiver with incredible size, body control, and ball skills. If McMillan falls this far, this is a home run pick. Genuinely a home run pick. I have McMillan as the clear wide receiver 1. I think he just ran his 40 at his pro day. Apparently a 4.55. That's pro day numbers. Might have been closer to a 4.6 at the combine. Guys, I don't care. We know that McMillan wasn't going to run a blazing 40. What we do know about him, though, from his tape, is that he's a yards after the catch and tackle breaking machine. He's 6'4", 220 pounds, moves really well for his size, great hands. This is the kind of player that would fit so well with Ladd McConkey. You've got 2 yak threats. One of them shorter and Ladd McConkey with the agility. One of them taller with the contested catchability of McMillan. It works so damn well. It works so well. I hate that they're going to be with Greg Roman, who doesn't like to pass the ball. But McMillan's a great talent. Give him to Justin Herbert. Pookie, I'm a Justin Herbert fan. Sorry. It would be a fantastic pick. Absolutely love it. If this were to happen, first of all, I'd be shocked that he fell this low. I would take McMillan at 4 to the Patriots personally. But I know I'm high on that. The Packers taking Maxwell Hairston. It's not clear if Jair Alexander has a future in Green Bay, so the Packers turn to the highly dynamic Hairston at cornerback. Yeah, makes sense. The guy ran a blazing 40. They need another corner if Jair Alexander's gone. They need edge and wide receiver more. I would have gone with wide receiver here. If I'm the Packers and McMillan's fallen to 22, I am giving the Chargers whatever the hell they want to trade out one spot. Let me just put it that way, because McMillan, as the alpha on this offense, which is what they need. They've got a load of wide receiver 2s, a load of wide receiver 3s. They need a guy. They need an alpha. Maxwell Hairston, great player, not going to be that offensively, obviously. The Vikings taking Nick Emenwari. This is obviously a fit that is kind of made in heaven for Brian Flores and the defense that he runs. He is the combine merchant, right? 10 relative athletic score, Kentley Platt, Math Bomb. Check out his stuff if you don't know about it. He gives the prospects a grading of 1 to 10 in terms of their athletic ability, basically, relative to their height and their weight. Emenwari got a 10. It is on a scale of 1 to 10, Emenwari got the 10. His broad, his 40, everything was just absolutely bonkers. And what his physical ability gives you is that ability to move him around the defensive formation. He can play maybe on the line of scrimmage as a blitzer. He can be on the line of scrimmage and then drop into coverage. He can be that kind of extra linebacker on the field in certain passing downs, and he can play safety. I think this is a nice pick. I don't have Emanwari as a first-round player, but I understand that defensively, it's all about scheme, it's all about fit. So teams' boards are going to be insanely different to a kind of generic board that anyone in the media is going to have, because there's going to be some players that just simply don't fit their scheme and aren't going to be there whatsoever. Again, though, where are the edge rushers? I'm just clocking this. Where's Kenneth Grant? Where are the defensive tackles? Where's Shamar Stewart? Where is Mikael Williams? Where is James Pierce Jr.? Good grief. Okay, the Texans. Kelvin Banks Jr. DJ, from your lips to God's ears. Okay? He said, previously, I had mocked Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka to the Texans, but with the departure of Laremy Tunsil, it feels like offensive line has moved to the top of the priority list. You're damn right it has. We got rid of Sorry. Let me stop myself from crashing out. Zen. We got rid of Laremy Tunsil. We had 4 NPCs on the offensive line last year, and 1 Laremy Tunsil, who, don't get me wrong, didn't have a fantastic year, led the league in penalties, but nevertheless, in terms of talent, is clearly the best one. We addressed our offensive line by trading Laremy Tunsil. We're currently at pick 25. We're probably going to have to auction those picks off to trade up. And we're not going to get a like-for-like replacement. And we've still got 4 holes on the offensive line. We even signed 2 of the worst guards in the league. Let me get this up because it's a crazy stat. We got rid of Kenyon Green, who allowed the 3rd highest one-on-one pressure rate, and we acquired Evan Ingram, who allowed the 1st most one-on-one pressure rate, and Laken Tomlinson, the 4th. Are we collecting bad offensive linemen like Infinity Stones? Where's the bloke who allowed the 2nd most? Let's get him in, why don't we? What are we doing? What are we doing? If Kelvin Banks fell, I would be ecstatic, genuinely ecstatic. I love Kelvin Banks. I think he's been severely underrated. I think he's a starting quality tackle immediately. Gives you a little bit of inside flexibility if you wanted to move him to guard. We wouldn't, because we need tackles as well as guards. If you can play both at the same time, that'd be fantastic. But I love this pick. And unfortunately, the way the Texans have gone about this offseason, we have to address offensive line. The Rams going Trey Amos. The only thing I questioned about Amos was his pure speed, but he put any concerns to rest at the combine with his 4.43 40. Yeah, I really like Trey Amos. He's got great matching ability at the cornerback position. Rock solid. I think he's really, really good. Don't hate this pick at all. The Ravens, there we go, finally. A defensive lineman, Derek Harmon. DJ says Harmon is ultra disruptive. He plays with outstanding effort and a high motor that would be appreciated in Baltimore. And I completely agree. I really like Derek Harmon. I think he is more of a disruptor than a pass rusher. But he is someone that I have as 27 on my big board. So this is exactly where I think he should and can go. He had the most pressures from the interior defensive line position, 55, had a 17.6 pass rush win rate, which went up to 26.9 on true pass sets. Got a strong anchor against the run, shoots gaps, he can redirect runners. More of a disruptor than a finisher, like I said, only 5 sacks versus 55 pressures. No elite physical calling card. But it's a good pick. It's a good pick. The Lions going Mikael Williams, finally an edge rush off the board here. Williams is another player with a wide range of potential destinations. The production has trailed the athleticism, but there's a ton of upside here. I agree. I've kind of been so up and down on Williams. I can never kind of work out where I land on him. And I would like this pick. And I wouldn't mind if he went a bit higher, because he has the physical traits to be an elite edge rusher, right? He's that alpha kind of mold physically and traits wise, not put it together production wise. But I had a conversation with Theo Ash, friend of the channel. Go and watch that video if you haven't already. And he kind of converted me a little bit to Mikael Williams. I mean, he's got a great, he's great in the run game, has that fantastic lock, peak, shed, that's going to play immediately. And obviously by being opposite Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to walk into production right immediately. So as an edge 2, it works really nicely. Maybe I would have gone with James Pierce Jr. though. Commander's going Azaria Thomas. I really like Azaria Thomas. Press man, cornerback. Brilliant. He says Thomas is a long-rangey cornerback who can match up with some of the bigger receivers in the NFC East. Yeah. AJ Brown. Immediately. CeeDee Lamb. You don't want Thomas in the slot. He got cooked there in the Senior Bowl. He's going to be an outside guy. But yeah, when Lamb is on the outside, when AJ Brown is on the outside, I mean, as a rookie cornerback, that is a gauntlet. But he's got the physical traits to potentially match up against those guys. I like it. Finally, Kenneth Grant. The Kenneth Grant erasure will not go unnoticed. DJ says Grant feels a need for the Bills. They recently signed Larry Ogunjobi, but he's facing a 6-game suspension. Grant's raw upside and athleticism are tough to pass up. I love Kenneth Grant. Absolutely love Kenneth Grant. Where is he on my big board? Kenneth Grant ends up being 13 on my big board. So getting him at 30 is massive. I do think the Bills don't need that anymore off the back of their free agency, but previously they did need to get more heavy in the middle. And I just think Kenneth Grant is so explosive. I think he's got really high upside, not just as a run stuffer, but also as a pass rusher. He's, and that he's going to bring an immediate run stopping floor and has that potential higher ceiling with being a pass rusher. I love this pick. But again, I might have gone wide receiver here. They need an outside guy. They've got Khalil Shakir. They've got Dalton Kincaid. Someone please give Josh Allen an outside guy. And I hope they haven't signed anyone in free agency that I've completely forgotten about, which I'm just going to check very quickly now. The Bills, Josh Allen. They added, what's his name? Josh Palmer. No. Give me another outside wide receiver, guys. And, well, not finally. Sorry, the Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl. DJ has the Chiefs going with Josh Simmons. I know the Chiefs signed Jalen Moore in free agency, but I'm not so sure Simmons won't ultimately be the better option for them at left tackle. Yeah, Jalen Moore's a backup. Regardless, building quality depth up front would seem like the wise move based on the issues he dealt with last season. Josh Simmons at 31, home run. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near available at this point. I think the offensive linemen are going to go way earlier than they have done in this mock draft. I know it's the third one he's done. I'm sure the first is kind of his most accurate, and here he's kind of going through different possibilities. So again, I'm not dragging DJ here whatsoever. I'm just saying that I don't think this will happen. I think Josh Simmons will go way earlier than this. I don't think he gets past the Cardinals at 16, honestly. But the Chiefs do need a tackle. Desperately need a tackle. Yes, they made a move for one. They need more. And they needed another one because they lost the Super Bowl because they had to play a guard at tackle. And finally, the Eagles take Shamar Stewart, a very high Howie Roseman pick. This, right? Took Nolan Smith with the 32nd overall pick a few years ago. And Shamar Stewart would be a similar kind of vein. DJ says Stewart has offered more disruption than production to this point in his career, but the Eagles made us... Promise I didn't see that. But the Eagles made a similar move with Nolan Smith a couple years ago, and it has paid off in a big way. Completely. Shamar Stewart is the embodiment of potential versus production. And if you're looking at the production, highs of 1.5 sacks every year, that's it. That is meager. But again, another combine warrior, scored a 10 at the combine. And from a position like edge rusher where you need those athletic traits, and at the Eagles where, look, they can develop talent as good as anyone in the league, and they have a good stable of pass rushers there already. He'd also complement nicely with what Nolan Smith offers. It's a very Howie Roseman pick, and inevitably he will be one of the best edge rushers in the league if he goes to the Eagles. I just want to quickly, before we end this, see who's not gone, because I have a feeling we're missing quite a few players. So the big one that stands out to me immediately is James Pierce Jr. For me, he's a first-round player. His pass rush win rate and his kind of speed, for me, plays in the first round easily. There are character concerns. That might be why he's falling. If he fell to the second, though, I think a team's getting an absolute steal. Who else are we missing? Jihad Campbell's... Luther Burden. Luther Burden not being a first-round player, crazy to me in this class. Luther Burden is going to be a fantastic, like a Malik Neighbors light kind of player. The Eagles, he'd be a fantastic wide receiver 3. I know it's not as valuable as edge, but I'm just looking at where he'd fit. He wouldn't fit the Bills. He'd be another slot receiver. Commanders, he'd be really nice in with Terry McLaurin. Lions, Ravens, all I'm saying is to not have Luther Bird in the first round. Wow, someone's getting a steal at the top of the second. The Patriots have to jump on that. Jaden Higgins, I have Jaden Higgins as a first-round player. I know a lot of people don't. I think he's like an X, got great movement skills. He, for me, just is what I'm looking for if I'm drafting a receiver in the first round. So I would take a swing on what he offers. And Mekrik Buka. Again, so these wide receivers, teams at the top of the second, Panthers, you guys are got to get all over this. It's going to be open season for receivers at the top of the second. Who else? Josh Connolly not gone. Siobhan Ravel not gone. To be fair, I don't think there's anyone that egregious that I'm missing out on at this point. Shedeur Sanders went really early. Yeah, I'm surprised there's not another running back, to be honest, at this point. This is kind of where the running backs start to go. Overall, it's not bad. On draft day, like I said, there'll be a few misses for me, quite a few big ones. But look, it's all within the realm of possibility. Obviously, no one knows what's going to happen until draft day comes around. But if you want to be as clued in as you possibly can be for draft day, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content. Leave a comment if you agree with me, agree with DJ, disagree with me, disagree with DJ. I want to hear all the comments in the comment section below. But I've been Dom Corbs. This has been Corbs NFL. We'll see you on the next video.